Okay. So anyways, let me tell you a little bit about myself first before I get into the training. If those of you who know me, you kind of know Christina and I's story, but if you're tuning into this video for the very first time, I want to give you a little bit of credibility about who we are in Ambit Energy. It was October 2012 whenever I saw this business for the very first time. My sponsor is a guy named Jason Capps. He's from the Pittsburgh area, and he actually owns a catering facility called Bella Sara. How I knew Jason is I owned restaurants, and me and him were always competitors. You know, he was a caterer, and I was a fine dining restaurant who did high-end catering and weddings and things like that. And so we were always kind of fighting for the same business. And I watched him go from this wee little place. It was called Greco's Gourmet, and he built that up to this big facility. And now he travels all over the world and owns all these properties in Italy and stuff like that. But back in the day, it was just, we had a friendly competition. We were, I always admired him, but at the same time, I always kind of had it out for him because he was my competitor. And he called me up and asked me to take a look at Ambit. And at first, I kind of blew it off because, I'm like, what the heck's he into? What does he know about direct selling? He's a chef, he's a caterer, and he's more of a businessman than he is any of those things. But what I did know is everything this guy touched turned to gold, and it was worth me looking at. And so Christina and I we looked at the business, and, I started out, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's network marketing. I mean, and in fact, I was trying to Google it under the table, and we had no cell signal in the building, so I couldn't get a good, strong signal, and I couldn't really find out the negatives on Ambit because I was going to walk up there and give Jim Mason a piece of my mind and tell him, oh, this thing's, it's one of these things that I've seen my whole life, but I couldn't Google it fast enough, and so I had to kind of go on a gut. And but I liked Jim, and I really liked what he had to say, and I liked their presentation. It was clean, it was concise, and it was like they'd done it, for their whole life. Even though they were only in the business for a couple of years, they were executive consultants at the time, still kind of working their way up through the program, kind of where I am right now. But there was something special about them. Took a chance, and I jumped into it. But here's what happened. I failed. And I failed for one reason, because I had been successful in direct selling. So when I was 8 years old, my mom got involved in a company that did spices and extracts and household products. It was called Watkins Products. It's actually one of the oldest direct selling companies in the world. It's been around since 1868. And they started out in horse and buggies and stuff like that. And my mom really took that company into a place it hadn't been before, because she started doing home parties. And there were a few people in that business that did a home party, but not a lot of them did. Most of them were these big trade shows and things like that. And they were selling tractor trailer loads of product. But she didn't do that. She did a home party, and her and my dad built that business to where when my dad was 40 years old, he actually was retired. My mom retired, and they were doing $3.5 million a year in that company and had great success. And so I grew up listening to guys like Zig Ziglar and going to national conventions and watching my mom speak, and they would win the top awards, and they were those people in network marketing. So when I go to Ambition and I watch those guys walk across the stage and get their awards and speak, I'm like, that was my mom and dad. And we ate with the owners of the company and the president of the company, and if they brought in a special guest speaker, they always sat at our table. And so, like Gianni here, who's 4, I was 8 whenever we started. And so to grow up in that 8, 10, 12, 15, 16, 18 years old, everybody knew that I would be a success in that business because of who my mom and dad were. And so at 20 years old, actually 18 years old, I told my mom, I said, look, I want to join your company. I don't want any ups. I don't want any one-ups, blah, blah, blah. And I said, sell me a kit. And at the time, the kit was like $64 or something like that. And it came with an assortment of products, and I started knocking on doors. My very first day of selling, I sold $20 worth of products. I actually recruited a kid to go with me and do door knocking. And we went out, we knocked on doors, and he sold nothing. I sold $20. And the next morning, we were supposed to meet at my house to go out and knock another neighborhood. And he called, and he's like, I'm not coming. And I said, why? He's like, I need to get a job, because if my girlfriend finds out that I didn't make any money yesterday, and this is what we're doing, she goes, she's going to leave me. And I said, okay, well, it's your decision. and those two, he left, and I was on my own door knocking. But I just kept it up, and I kind of did what I knew to do, and I started booking little craft shows and things like that. And by that December, I remember that December, I sold $20,000 in products in 1 month. And so, I watched that business, and we literally were the number one fastest growing couple, my wife and I, in that company. And I spoke at national conventions at 21 years old, taught people how to do party plan and this sort of thing. And so you're watching this video, you're watching me talk, and you're saying, what the heck does this have to do with Ambit Energy? Well, what happened was I thought I knew it all. And so I joined Ambit, and I looked at Jim Mason, who I love, and Jim and Kim are a great couple. And I was like, well, this guy's he's a, landscaper. What the heck does he know about direct selling? I grew up in the world. I was actually a founding national, or whatever you want to call it, top consultant with Zig Ziglar and the ZZN network. Whenever he started that, I flew to, actually, I think we drove, my wife and I and her mom and some other people that we recruited in, drove down to Atlanta, Georgia, and had a personal meeting with Zig Ziglar, like at a hotel room. There was like maybe 20 of us there, and we launched his company. And so I had an opportunity to be a part of some great things in the business, and had a lot of success in it. And I also had a lot of failure in it because, I moved on and went into the restaurant business. But as somebody who's been self-made since I was 21 years old, I kind of thought I knew how to do any business, and I would just plug in what I knew right into the Ambit model. And so that's what I did. In fact, I said, I'm not going to do it the way Jason did it, because he was so vague. He didn't tell me anything. I kept asking him, what is it? He wouldn't tell me. He just said he had this couple coming in. He had a business idea. I wanted to get my opinion on it. And I was like, this guy's, basically, I'm like, he doesn't have a clue what he's doing. I said, man, when I get in this thing, I'm going to tell people it's network marketing, that it's energy, that they can earn money every time somebody pays a gas and electric bill. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to get customers like crazy. And I'm going to be the biggest success that ever hit Ambit Energy. That's what I thought. And I remember, after like a couple weeks of not making any money in this thing, I was like, wow, there's something wrong with Ambit. People don't want to do it. It's just something wrong with this company, And I had a couple customers, but I didn't make my first jump start. I think I got my dad as a customer, and I always tell the story. I got my dad and my brother, and I did, but I didn't get number 3. My dad and my brother were easy. I didn't even ask them. But then number 3 came along, and no one wanted to do it because I was out selling and I was telling way too much. And so people were very skeptical, and they didn't want to deal with me. And so didn't get any of our Jumpstart bonuses at all. Jumpstart 2 rolls around. We went out to Philadelphia for Thanksgiving, and we were hitting up my wife's family, and we got her aunt to give us her bill, but now it was too late because we were on Jumpstart 2, and I needed 10 points or whatever. And so we came short for Jumpstart 2. Jumpstart 3 rolls around, no money. And so I was ready to quit. And called corporate, and I said, look, this is the dumbest thing I've ever joined. I said, nobody wants to do it. How the heck do you shut off this website? Because I'm sick and tired of paying $24.95 every month. And the lady says to me, well, Mark, she goes, I can help you out, no problem. And she goes, pulls up my back office, and she goes, oh, well, it looks like you just paid in yesterday for this thing. And I was like, great, why didn't I think about this yesterday? I could have saved another $26, And but she goes, why don't you try this system out? And she goes, and then this time next month, because she goes, you already paid for it. She goes, why don't you try it out? And she goes, at the end of the month, we'll shut it off for you. And I said, okay, lady, what is your deal? Try it out. You don't know who I am. You know what I mean? Johnny, I'm on the phone. I said, you don't know who I am? I said, I'm a success in network marketing. You're telling me you're some, phone operator at Ambit Corporate, and you're telling me to try this thing out. And she's like, well, have you ever opened your kit? Well, back in those days, everyone got a kit. It wasn't an option. You paid $429, they gave you a kit. And I was like, yeah. And it reminds me of this book I got sitting here. So I got this Think and Grow Rich book, and it's still in the cellophane, right? So obviously that's, why I guess I'm not rich yet, because I haven't opened the book up. But same deal. So I look over, and the book's still in the cellophane, or the box is still in the cellophane. And I'm like, yeah, I looked at that kit. I looked at it, but never opened it. And she's like, have you ever been on your Ambit University? Have you ever tried this system? And I said, yeah, I've done that. I said, but that's okay. I said, you know what? Do me a favor. Don't shut the site off at the end of the month. I'll call you. And so I really had a check. You know, it was one of these things where somebody challenged me, and I said, well, you know what? If they're going to throw down the challenge, then guess what? I'm going to step up to the challenge. So what I did is I went home, and I actually I went home and I read the kit, right, cover to cover. And there was a book in there that's really cool. It was called The 3 Ways We Get Paid, okay? And so I read that cover to cover. In fact, you can still go into your back office and download it. Go to Kit Contents and download 3 Ways of Getting Paid. And it shows you, man, that was like an eye-opener. I'm like, this is where the money's at. You know, I got to promote. And so, and I was figuring it out. 7 levels. The 7th level pays this and all this stuff. And so, I mean, I started studying the system and I learned it. In fact, there's a lot of people in Ambit who don't understand the compensation plan. And I'm not one of them. I get it. I know where every penny comes from, and I've made myself a student of it. All right, because I think it's important to know your business. Right, it's important to know where the money comes from. When I owned restaurants, I knew where the money came from, and that's why we did over $1 million a year in a restaurant, because I knew where the money was. And so, anyways, studied the system, and then I met a guy named Paul Janoff, and Paul, we were at a church party, Christmas party. And so Paul says to me, Mark, what's new? And I said, oh, man, I found this new business. I'm all excited about it. And so I always have to confess I lied at a church party, but because I was ready to quit that morning. But, you know, I said, you know, Paul, this thing's great. And he's like, well, what is it? And Paul, like, he's a close talker anyway. So he's like, you know, what is it? He's like all up in my face. And I was like, you know, Paul, I said, I can't really tell you about it. I said, but if you allow me the opportunity to show you, I said, I'd love to show it to you. I said, why don't we do lunch tomorrow? And he's like, yeah, that'd be awesome. But he's like, but what is it? You know, but what is it? And I was like, okay, you know, I got to go over. It's our turn to go eat or whatever. So I went to the buffet, and he's walking on, you know, he's trying to get me. And like, we're circling the room like this, you know, all night, right? And so I'm not letting him catch me. And so anyways, you know, go through the next day, show Paul the business. Paul joins. So the next night we were at a church. There was a Christmas parade that came through Washington. We were handing out cookies or something. And I was like, Paul, I got this magazine for you. And so I'm handing him the magazine. Another guy named Mike Silich walks by. And he goes, what is that, Amway? And Paul's like, man, I got to show you this business. And he goes, I can't tell you about it, but I can show you. And he goes, why don't you come tomorrow to lunch? So Mike comes to lunch. Well, make a long story short, 6 days after I met Paul, I was a regional consultant. What changed is I started to follow the system. And what happened was it started to duplicate. If you listen to the story, when I met Paul, I didn't tell him anything. I asked for an appointment. I told him I was excited about something. I needed to show it to him, and when can we get together? I didn't tell him anything. So I started to follow the system. And what happened is it duplicated. Now look, when we met with Mike, when Mike walked by and said, what is this Amway? Paul says, I can't tell you about it, but why don't we do lunch tomorrow? And it duplicated. And then of course, Mike took off, and I mean, we had meetings where. All right, Johnny, I'm doing my thing. Yeah. So anyways, let's bring your kids to work, Dave, and I didn't bring him any food. I'm sorry. I think I did pour him juice, but I forgot. Does anybody got any food you can send me? But anyways, so what happened was it starts to duplicate. And I remember meetings literally where people joined faster than we could sign them up. So I'd have to take paper applications in a stack and hand them out. End of the meeting, 5, 6, 7 people wanted to join, and it was $429 to join. And I'd pass out, stacks of paper applications, and I'd sit in the back of the room. And I remember after the meeting, Kim and Jim Mason are doing trainings, and basically they're training. I don't have anything, but they're training, and I'm signing people up on the computer. Okay, you know, Mike Stager's joining the business, and all these people are coming on board, and I'm saying, wow, this is it, man. I mean, this is it. You know, this is a beautiful thing. And what happened, right? Well, what happened was I learned to follow the system. So, you know, a couple of years later, here we are. You know, there's Christina and I in a magazine. What was this? 2015. Ambit calls us up. We want to feature at Success from Home. You know, 6-figure earners of the company, executive consultants. And so we're in the top 1% of Ambit, which is great. Here, bring it over. Which is great, but it's not where I want to be yet. So what do I do every day? Let's talk about it. I'm going to bring up our Jumpstart. because I want you guys to see it the same way I saw it. All right, so slideshow. Move this thing out of the way. Slideshow. Okay. Oh, here we go. So this is the basic jumpstart training, but what I want you to see is the 7 steps to success. And that's what I told you we're going to talk about. I'm not going to spend a full hour on this because there's more I want to get into. But if you look at this, the 7 steps to success, oh, look at he brought me a picture. But anyways, the 7 steps to success are this. Your why is number 1. Okay, and I don't care what you do, any type of thing you're involved in is always going to start with the reason why you're doing it. I do Weight Watchers. I mean, it's probably a well-known fact that I've always been heavy set and had a problem with my weight. When I owned the restaurant, I was 315 pounds, and you know, it was just something I've always struggled with. And so when you join even something like Weight Watchers, what's the very first thing they ask you is, what are you here for? What's your why? And so your why is one of the most important things you're ever going to do, because that's what keeps you in the game. This stuff seems like it's so redundant, right? You're brand new in this business. All you want to know is, how do I make money, right? But if you don't know why you're making the money, it doesn't matter how. If you can figure out the why, the how figures itself out. All right, so always figure out the reason why you're doing this. Okay, whether it's like here, I'll show you my why. Well, I can't because I'm on the slides. Well, my why is sitting right next to me, all right? My son, he's now 4 years old. And that's why I can't complain that he wants to sit and color and stuff like that while we're here, because that's why I got into this business. I got into it for him. He is the reason why we do this business every day. You see, it took us 13 years to have him. Doctor said it was impossible. It would never happen. So 13 years go by, no kid. It's almost to the point where, you know, if I didn't have faith that was strong, I would have given up on it, right? But I didn't. You know, my wife and I always had very strong faith, and we knew that if God can promise it, that he would fulfill it. And so here he is, right? And so whenever we had him, I said, you know, I don't want to send him to a daycare. I don't want to have to, you know, ship him off to school or whatever, like, you know, right away, because I saw too many people do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you have to do it, you have to do it. But I didn't want to have to do it. You know what I mean? I wanted to be in a position in my life where I didn't have to, that I could just, you know, do it. Hey, buddy, you did. You know, I could do it, or if I did, but if I didn't have to, I didn't want to, right? So that's my reason why. So what's your reason why? You know, and don't tell me it's money. Don't say, well, I joined this business to make money, because you joined the wrong business then. I mean, if you want to make money, you know, go out and, you know, get into some get-rich-quick scheme, you know, and there's a million of them out there. Yeah, I mean, I see it happening all around me, and there's nothing wrong with it, you know. Oh, I bought, you know, 10 Bitcoin when they were $4, now they're worth $40,000, and I'm an overnight millionaire. Good for you, great. But what I'm looking for is something that's generational, something that's going to change not my life, but his life and his kids' life. And so that's my reason why I do business, and every day that's what keeps me on board. That's what keeps me in this business. It's not about money. So don't join this business and say, well, I joined because I want to make money. Bad answer. Okay. What is the money going to do for you? Okay. What door will it unlock? What's it going to change in your life? That's what you're doing it for. Okay. So is it to spend more time with your friends and family? Is it to whatever? I mean, figure that out first. Number 2, come up with a list. Number 3, invite. 4, presentation. 5, validation. Number 6, 3-way call. And number 7 is help a new consultant. I'm going to make a public declaration right now here that if you do all 7 steps of success, you will have success. Okay, guaranteed. And look, I don't care where you live, where you're from, what the weather's like. I mean, whatever. And listen, I have thrown myself under the bus to make sure that everybody knows that it's possible. Okay, first thing I did, I spent a year. We built this business while we were busy in another business. Okay, so I was building my tiramisu business, and I know John Caldwell was a part of that growth because he was selling us products. So he knew how busy we were, and it was really just my wife and I at the time. And so building that thing, so we were busy. So a lot of times people say, "Oh, you're too busy." Okay, good. Well, I was doing that, so I built this business while I was busy. The next big thing is once we got in and we hit that momentum, we did Ambit full time for a year. People say, "Well, it's easy for you guys because you're full time in Ambit." So what did I do? I went and got a real estate license, and I wasted a lot of my time out selling, learning how to do that. Not that it's a waste, because I think it's a valuable asset to have. But I was able to say, you know what, not only did I put myself through online school, I went, took tests, did everything I had to do, joined this organization, that organization, got to meet a lot of people, but I took out another excuse for people. I got a lot on my plate. I had a lot on my plate. Intentionally, we had a lot on our plate. How about this excuse? Well, I live 1,000 miles away from the nearest open market. Well, guess what? Now I do too. So, well, I live in Florida. It's nowhere near any place that we can do Ambit. Well, how come I'm doing it? Right? I mean, I meet people every day in Florida who are from New York, who are from New Jersey, I'm not down here doing hotel meetings, but doesn't mean I'm not working my business every day. So if there's an excuse, I've already been there for you to show you that it's doable, that you can do it. Okay. So but anyways, my public declaration is if you guys do the 7 steps to success, don't quit, stay consistent and persistent over time, you will have success. Okay, it's 100%, it's a guarantee. If you do those simple things, you'll have success. The problem is most of us don't do it. All right, and I was definitely one of the ones who didn't do it. So number one, figure out why. Now, everything on that list, it's all valid, but guess what? It really boils down to financial freedom. So if you can hit financial freedom, then you're going to have your new house and your new car. Your debts are going to be paid off. You're going to have a savings account. You're going to be able to give money to charity, whatever your heart's desire is. You're going to have time with your family. So let's just think about having financial freedom so that you can achieve the real reason why you got into this business. What drives you? Okay. And it's not selling electricity. I know it isn't for me. My goal in life is to be a part of something that changes other people's life. Okay, that's it. So, and it was funny, and the reason why that I came to this consensus was there was a speaker who came to Youngstown, Ohio, spoken at an event that I came to. The guy's name is Peter Daniels. At the time, I think he was like in his late 70s, and I don't even know if he's still living. I'm sure he is. But this guy was an amazing speaker and very successful. He's Australian, written tons of books and read tons of books. And this guy's just he's amazing. And he says, when you have a business, if it hurts people, you shouldn't be doing it. And that hit me. I was like, well, if it hurts people, I shouldn't be doing it. He said, because most people build success on the backs of other people. That's why people come in and out of your life. Well, they were just in my life for a season, and then they went on. Well, it's because you use them to get yourself to this next level in life. And so he said, if it hurts somebody, then why are you doing it? Well, I'm making tiramisu, right? And I love tiramisu. It's a great product. But then I started looking into what sugar does to people and what fat does to people and how bad these things can be for you. And I started asking myself a tough question is like, how many people am I hurting? Even though it's a good thing, because it's really tasty and people loved it, but it had a lot of things in there people got addicted to, like coffee and chocolate and alcohol and sugar and fat and not helping people. It's helping myself. And so with this business, what I saw was it's not about electricity. It's about changing somebody's life. All right. And if I can introduce you to this business and it changes your life in ways that are outside of Ambit, okay, it's that moment at an ambition or at a power trip or at a training or at a personal development thing, a book that somebody refers to you or a speech that somebody says or something that hits you at a different place that opens up something in you that wasn't there before. And at the end of the day, you're a better person for it. That's why I got into Ambit Energy. So that's my why. Vision boards are very important, but watch what you put on it, okay? Because it's going to happen. So, I mean, last year we made Vision Board 2.0 and I put this big swimming pool and palm trees and, pool party and the beach and then, now I'm living in Florida. So just be careful what you end up putting on there and make sure it's someplace you want to go, right? Because I wasn't 100% sold on living here, but I'm here now, so because it's on my vision board, right? But make sure you put things on there that you really want and don't just throw things on there to throw things on there. So don't put golf on there if you hate golfing, right? Don't put the guy with the golf clubs if you hate golfing. If you don't like spending time on the beach and you think it's too hot and you don't want to get sunburned, don't put a picture of the beach on there. Think about what you want, right? But do it. I mean, I'm telling you, 7 steps. This is part of that step number 1, okay? We did it. I didn't want to do it. I thought it was remedial. I said it's something like my son would want to do. You know, it's 4-year-old stuff. Glue, scissors, paste, you know. But what I realized is watching him is that he has ability to dream and he has ability to have a vision. And so most of us don't, right? Most of us are at this place in life where, you know, our ability to dream is gone. So why? Because your teachers that, you know, when you're 4, yeah, you want to be an astronaut? Go for it, son. And when you're 14, they say, you know, get your head out of the clouds. You know, you need to start thinking about what you want to do with your life. That dreaming stuff's over. And so why do we go back to this stuff? It's because it takes us back to a place where we can actually open up and dream again. So vision board, it's very important that you do it. Create your contact list. List is the fuel that's going to drive your business. All right. If you don't have a list, then you don't have a business. I mean, it's just, that's it. So it's the fuel that's going to drive your business. So it's like, you know, you have your car, you got a beautiful, whatever it is, Corvette or Land Rover or one of them fancy guy cars, right? And so, you know, you got it all sitting there in the driveway and you forgot to put the gas in the tank, right? So that's not going to do you any good. But, you know, you join Ambit Energy and you're all fired up and you're all excited, don't have a list. Well, it's not going to do you any good. So get out, make a list. Who goes on the list? Everybody. Everybody and anybody. Man, my list is, it's a live, living thing, right? It's alive and it's living. It changes all the time. It changes every day. I got my new Florida list now. And so, you know, I meet people, get to know them, and I start to network, you know. I need work done on my Jeep. So I started asking people at church. I said, do you know anybody works on cars? Oh yeah, you know, call this guy, call this guy, call this guy. Boom, boom, boom. My list has grown. You know, so I'm constantly meeting new people. And then the question is how can I connect them back to Ambit, right? So number one, we'll get to that in a minute. Number one, make a list. Everybody you know, everybody you meet. Best thing is never ever prejudge. I can't stand it when people prejudge. I hear it every day, and we all do it. Every one of us is guilty of it. No, they'll never want to do it. Believe me, I know this type of person. Believe me, I know this culture. Believe me, I know this thing. Believe me, I know that. Oh, that guy, he's not going to do it. Why? He's too lazy. Okay. What about your other buddy? No, that guy's too busy. Well, what about Bob? Bob, man, he's broke. Well, what about Dave? Dave, man, he's a multimillionaire. He'd never want to do it. Well, what about your dad? Nah, my dad, he don't believe in those sort of things. Well, who the heck are we going to ask then? Right? So I go through this exercise with somebody, and next thing you know, there's no one who's eligible. Oh, well, why can't they do it? So then I said, all right, forget about those people. We don't want them to join. We're looking for their list. That's it. All right. So, you know, if you go into it with that kind of an attitude, you'll have more success. So number one, don't prejudge, but use it as a way to build a list. So let me just give you a real world example of this. I'm living here in Florida, and I want to build my contact list. So I'm going to call a friend up. I'm going to bump into somebody, and I'm going to ask them, you know, look, I have a business idea, and it's probably not going to be for you. And the reason why it's not going to be for you is because it's not even open in this state. The nearest state's 1,000 miles away. And here's what I'm going to ask you, though. I'm looking for somebody who's smart. And I always leave with that. Somebody who's smart, entrepreneurial, with resources, somebody who's money motivated, and somebody who wants to create generational wealth for their great-grandchildren. And if you know anybody, and then I give them a list of what we're doing business at. Anybody in the state of New York, Ohio, California, Illinois, Japan, Canada. If you know anybody in these states, please give them to me as a referral. That's all I'm asking. All right, so now I've taken out the pressure of, you know, I'm not asking you to join my business. All I want you to do is refer me somebody who's smart, somebody who's entrepreneurial, somebody who has the resources, who's money motivated, who wants to create generational wealth. That's all I'm looking for. It's not you, unless it is you. And if it is you, then great. We'll saddle up the horse and we'll start riding. But if it's not you, who do you know that I need to be talking to? And ultimately, it comes right back around to them. Because the smart people they're gonna take this kind of personally, right? They're gonna say, well, I'm smart. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm money motivated. I have resources. I have influence. And so the thing is, I'm not gonna ask somebody who isn't. Because I mean, my list is, even though I haven't prejudged, what I did was what it says at the bottom here. I prioritized my list. So the people who I asked, I already know that they're smart, that they're money motivated, that they're entrepreneurial, that they're professionals, that they're business owners, right? I already know that because that's how I prioritize my list. So when I go to somebody who's like that, and I say, well, you know, Dr. So-and-so, you like take a look at my business and this is what I'm looking for. And he's sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm smart. I'm a business owner. I'm entrepreneurial. I'm a professional. And I have a lot of networking. You know, I have a lot of huge network. And wait a minute, I want to create generational wealth. Well, then the two pieces of the puzzle just fit together. But now if I went to my broke brother-in-law, who I do actually have one of those, and he's like, you know, loves like the whole Grateful Dead and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, you know, I don't think he owns a pair of shoes and, you know, he's free spirit. That's what he does. But I'm not going to go to this guy and ask him to build my business because I know he's not, I'm going to say he's not smart, but he's not entrepreneurial. He's not money motivated. He's not, none of those things fit him. Is he on my list? Yeah, he's on my list. Did I show him the business? Yes, I showed him the business. But did I expect him to join? No. And if he did join, is he going to blow up our business? No. But I know that he knows people who are smart, money motivated, entrepreneurial, and have resources and influence and want to change people. He does. I know he does. Of course, they're selling medical marijuana and stuff like that, but that's a whole other story. Okay, next. Invitation, keep it brief. Okay, so whenever I go to ask somebody, you know, hey, look, are you interested in this business? I keep it simple. Fact is, I normally don't invite people to look at Ambit. In fact, I never invite people to look at Ambit. Ever. Never. Okay, so I ask them to, I give them enough information where either they're going to ask me, what do you do? Okay, and can I see it? Or I ask them to take a look at a business idea. Right? I don't say, oh, I'm going to look at Ambit Energy. It's, you know, gas and electricity. I don't do any of that. So I say, look, do you keep your options open for making extra money? You know, or are you money motivated? Are you that type of person? Okay, and if they are, then I go into, well, you know, and look, even with this one here, I take half of this out. So what you're reading on the screen, don't do it. First of all, I didn't just start, because even if you did just start, I'm not telling you that. Number two is it's not a new business. It's been around for 10 years. But I do want their opinion on it. So I just say I have a business idea. I want to get your opinion on it. Are you money motivated? You keep your options open for making money? Great. I have a business idea. I want to get your opinion on it. And then I throw in, it's probably not going to be for you, but I'm looking for some referrals. All right, so I want you to pay very close attention when I'm showing you this because I want you to make a mental note while we're watching it of who I need to be talking to. And if it's you, great, but chances are it's probably not going to be for you. Less you say, the more you make, and which we all make that mistake. You know, I was talking to a guy today who was making it. You know, he wanted to say too much, and I had to keep pulling him back. Don't do that. You can't do that. Don't do it. You know. Well, they just want me to send them a link. Don't do it. You know, don't do it. Well, they only want a little bit of information. I'm just going to tell them that don't do it. Okay, because the less you say, the more you're going to make. And I don't know, how many of you want to make a lot of money, right? So then don't say so much. Keep it simple, right? Just don't overthink this thing. Keep it simple. And then as I say, keep it simple, Ambit throws in this slide, right? With like, it looks like the Declaration of Independence here. It's, you know, there's nothing simple about this to me. Let me go forward. It's too big. It's too much. It's too much information. So what this is, this is to me is the follow-up for the guy that won't leave me alone. All right. So this is the what is it? 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 Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to come and look at this thing unless you tell me what it is. You ever have one of those? Anybody here have one of those type of person? This is what I ask them, and I don't even ask them what all you see. I say, look, I get paid every time somebody flips a light switch. Okay, that's it. So, you know, I don't say who do you know uses natural gas and electricity, you know, blah, blah, blah. I may say, look, you know, if they ask me what I do, I say, I help people get their gas and electric for free. I get paid for it. You know, so something like that. But I don't say all that, you know, would you like to earn residual income? Because you know what? Most people don't even know what residual income is. They don't know what it means. So why waste my time on that? So I just say, I get paid every time somebody flips the light switch. And usually, I mean, I was at a, was it like a networking mixer one time and at this restaurant. And the guy walks up to me and he says, what do you do? I said, I do a lot of things. And he goes, oh, really? And I said, yeah. And he said, what are you here for? I said, I don't know, man. I said, I heard they had free wings and stuff like that. So I was just here for free food. And he goes, no, man. He goes, what are you networking? What are you here for? And I said, oh, that. I said, and there was this big bank on the wall of light switches. I said, see them switches over there? I said, every time somebody flips a switch, I get paid. That's what I do. And he said, well, that's intriguing, you know. Can you tell me more about it? And I said, no, I can't. And I said, we're at a mixer with like 60 people. I said, but if you give me your card, I said, I'll contact you tomorrow, set up an appointment, and we'll do lunch. And I did. Took him out, and he joined the business. So, you know, that's how I handled it. I didn't get into how many people do you know? Do you want to make residual income? You know, just keep it simple. What do you do? How come, you know, what's funny is that, you know, we have this, we're living in Florida, so I'm about, I don't know, maybe 6 miles from downtown Tampa. I can actually see it from the bridge, like right up the street here. But we're kind of on the outskirts. And in our building, the 2 floors below is a guy who lives in the same town that I grew up in. That's where they're from. Literally, like, hey, where are you from? Well, I'm from Pittsburgh. Well, let's get more specific. We're at Pittsburgh. Well, we're south of Pittsburgh. Okay, where's that? Washington, Pennsylvania. Oh, I live there too. What street do you live on? Oh, 4 streets down from where your dad grew up. Okay. The other day, I had good guys walking his dog, sees my plate. Pennsylvania. Where are you at? He's like, well, I live in Blawnox. You know, he's from Pittsburgh. This guy lives in my building. Okay. So it's amazing is how many people are down here, right? And I was talking to the guy from Pittsburgh, and he says, he goes, yeah, man, when I moved down here, he goes, I got transferred for work. He goes, this is the golf capital of the world. He goes, I haven't been golfing one time. And he goes, they got that beautiful swimming pool over there. And he goes, I haven't had a chance. You know, he goes, every time I think I'm going to go over and sit by the pool, but then I get home and I have work to do. And he goes, yeah, I saw somebody over there yesterday swimming. I said, yeah, it was me and my son. And he said, really? Oh, yeah. And then the next day I was out there. And anytime the sun comes out, I'm out there because I can be. Right. So even though these people are living in paradise, they're not. You know, they're living in paradise, but they have to go to work every day. It's not vacation. But for us, it sort of is, you know. I get to enjoy it. And once I find somebody who likes to golf, I try getting Gary to go golf with me. Never he'll like to golf. But, you know, once I find a golfing partner, I'm going to be out golfing every day that I can possibly get out and golf. So, but anyways, I said all that for just to kind of show you that there is a lot of opportunity, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people aren't living up to what they want to live up. So how do you present this opportunity with enthusiasm and excitement? If you're not enthusiastic, you're not excited, then don't do it. This is the last piece of the puzzle, and that's validation. If you're not doing it, you're not going to grow. Okay, look, I don't know everything about Ambit, but I know Kim and Jim Mason know more than I know. And I know that there's people in this business like Brian McClure and Steve Thompson, and I mean, you name them. They've been here and they've done that, and they've paved the road. And so why should I answer any questions, you know? So if I'm showing you the business, I remember, I mean, I can go down a list of people that we brought in the business and who did the call and who we put them on the line with. And I'm sure if you're watching, you remember that call. And you got your questions answered not by us, but by Steve or by Kim and Jim or you know, whoever we brought on to talk to you. I mean, Alan Johnson, and you know, we've used a lot of guys like that to do closes for us. What it is validation. It puts validation in Ambit as a company. All right, and I had a guy who's very well respected in his community, and he told me yesterday. He goes, yeah. He goes, I just get them on the phone with you. He goes, because they trust me enough to listen to you. And he goes, and you know more about Ambit than I know about. So if all I do is I just show them this video, and then you talk to them. That's it, and this thing's going to work. And so most people don't get to this point. So, and I've heard people every excuse in the book. Well, they don't want to hear it. I was with so and so. I showed them the plan. Okay, who did the closing call? Well, they didn't want me to call anybody. Why'd you ask? Well, I can't just spring it on them. Why not? Well, that wouldn't be right. I did it to you. Why can't you do it to them? Right? I mean, I did it to you, so why can't you do it to them? You know, if I asked you, Hey, do you mind if I bring over my business partner to answer your questions? What are you going to say? No, I don't want to talk to anybody. I mean, I don't want to be sold. I don't want to be that, I don't want to do it. But if I just was on the phone with you and we're talking, then you go, oh, you know what? Hang on one second. Click. Oh, this is my business partner, Mark. He's here to answer all your questions. Right? Can we all do that? And because they have questions, and what happens is they're going to say, no, I don't have any questions. And you're going to say, okay, and you're not going to call. And they're going to go, but how's this thing work? Well, and then you start answering questions. And next thing you have 45 minutes have gone by and you're talking their ear off. And you just missed an opportunity to have the validation in the company. Okay, it's not that they don't trust you, it's that they just don't see the connection of why is the person who, is whatever you do. This guy runs a pool league. What the heck does he know about electricity, right? So they look at you in that respect, and they respect you for who you are, but they don't see the connection between you and Ambit. So what I do, or whoever's doing the validation, is we bridge that gap for them. Okay, I'm going to open up their thought process a little bit. And believe me, I've heard it all. I love doing validation calls. But you notice what it says here? When you finish the video, does this make sense to you? Does that mean you're ready to get started? Always ask that question. Does this make sense to you? And does that mean you're ready to get started? May Soon's on here, and she's a new consultant, and she's got, I think 3 consultants on her team now. And I heard her talking to somebody the other day, and she says to him, so does this mean you're ready to get started? And I was like, man, I wish everybody asked the question. It's like this, why wouldn't you be ready to get started, right? But so many of us are sitting there going like, well, I don't know. We're kind of dragging our feet. Just ask. Does it mean you're ready to get started? And if they hesitate in any way, shape, or form, that's when you get the third party guy. Yeah, I'm ready. Great, sign them up. Well, I don't know. Good. Let me have my business partner come on and tell you his story, and then we'll get him off the line. If it's a no, same thing. And I'm going to ask them to be my customer, but I'm still going to ask them to please talk to my business partner. And the way I do it is, in this case, I just say, listen, I have my business partner on the line. This is what keeps me accountable. If I don't call you, he won't even think I showed you. So just do me a favor, especially if they're like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody. Just do me a favor. Don't talk to the guy. Just say hello and let him tell you a story real quick, and then I'll get you off as quick as possible. All right? Just do it so that we can get through it. And people if they're your friend, they'll do it for you. Set it up in advance. Now listen, I don't need to know what you're doing next month. Oh, hey Mark, I got a closing call the 26th of February. Well, that's great. I might not even be living by then, so don't bother me with that, right? Let me know within the day or two. Hey, I got something going on tomorrow. Great, good. And then what I do is I'm not gonna put it in my calendar. I'm gonna send you a text that says, just let me know when you push play. So now I know in my head, Cheryl's gonna show the plan, Rich is gonna show the plan, John, whoever. And then even if it's last minute, usually you shoot me a text that says, hey Mark, can I I did one tonight for Nita, and it was quick. Hey, I'm here. Can you do a call in 5 minutes? Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. So I don't need months and months of notice, and I only need a little bit of background information because we do so many of these things. So I'll meet with my neighbor guy. He's a sharp guy, whatever you want to say about him real quick. Are you available tonight at 9 o'clock? And I'll say yes, or I'll say no. I'll say text us both. If you know me and Christina, text us both. And if I'm in a meeting and I can get out, I get out. I'm your business partner. I'm not your upline. And then just let us do the talking. Okay, never interrupt. Now, I don't want to hold you guys up. I have about 10 minutes, so I'm going to talk to you real quick about getting a new consultant started. So now that you've got a consultant, you want to get them started, you want to get them paid, right? So I'm going to go through a couple things with you. Get back to this. We don't need slideshow for this. So what do I do when I sign a brand new consultant? Well, I like to get paid, all right? I don't know about you guys, but that's why I joined this business is I want to make money. So if I'm with you, the very first thing I do, as soon as you're signed, in fact, we had this happen the other day. Guy signed a new consultant, and I was on the phone with him when he joined. I was walking through it. So I signed a brand new consultant, and I don't just say, oh, hey, look, I just got a text that you joined my business. great. See ya, bye, and I hang up the phone. No. First thing I do is I say, all right, let's get you certified. So first thing I do is log into PowerZone because they've never done it before, right? They have to set up their 2 security questions. Make sure you walk them through this stuff. And then this big dead link pops up that says, get certified now. And they click on it and it goes to an error page, right? How many of you had that happen, right? Where you click the link, boom, nothing ever happens. And I get this call, I can't get this guy certified. I don't know why it's there, it doesn't work, okay? So what you do is you go to Ambit University, open Ambit U, click get certified, watch the video, and I literally stay on the line with them while they take the test. And it's excruciating, right? It's like 37 questions of, and I know, and I've heard it 1,000 times, well, blah, blah, blah. Slamming is this, and stacking is that, and all this stuff. But anyways, I do it with them. I listen to them. If they have a question about it, I help them I tell them why. And sometimes I'll even stop them. I'll say, they'll say something about, door knocking. Oh, we can run a, campaign. No, we can't. And let me explain to you why. And then I'll explain to them why. So anyways, they get their certification. Then I say, okay, do you have a bill handy? Oh yeah, I have 4 bills here. I mean, this other guy just the other day had like 4 bills. Okay, great. Let's put your bills in. So now I'm walking him through it. Put in your zip code. Click on this. Click on that. And usually by the time I get off the phone, they have at least 2 of their bills in, and 2 or 3 bills in. Never ever get them in and just let them go. Okay, walk them through while you're doing it. I don't care how busy you are, you got 15 minutes to get them through this thing. So if you can get 2 to 3 bills in right away, because once they're getting paid, now they're happy, you have a better chance of having success. If you let them go, what happens is it's now day 28 and you're scrambling. It's 11:49 on day 28 and they have they're calling it's a Saturday and their dad says, yeah, I'll give you my bill, but I threw it away. I've been through this, right? So the best thing you can do is get them paid right away. The next thing is remember that where we are right now, we're post simulcast. So if you don't understand what that means we're on a double bonus for anybody who attended and anybody who's new. So even if you didn't attend simulcast, your new consultant gets in, they get 5 bills in 28 days, they're still going to make $200. You're only going to make 100, but they're going to make 200. All right. So now if you attended, we're all making money. We're all making double. So that's why it's important to attend the big events like simulcast. So, know where you are in the business and hurry up and get them paid. The next thing you want to do is plug them in. So right now we do Zoom every Wednesday night and at 9:30. And then we also do another one tomorrow night at 7:30. Now tomorrow night's a business presentation. So when I get a new consultant, I want to get them plugged in, especially if they're in a place where there's not a good BP going on. So I'll say to that person, hey, you know what? Let me show you how to set up Zoom. Get on. We do a couple practice rounds, and then once I'm face to face with them, then we can really get to talking. Okay, so this is my basic setup procedure with a brand new consultant. Why? Because I want duplication. Because I'm lazy, and I'm just being honest with you. I don't want to work this thing. I don't want to have to work too hard. I don't want to. It drives me crazy. Right now I'm helping somebody put a bunch of bills in, and it drives me nuts because I can't read the numbers, and the paper comes in crooked, and I'm trying to figure all this stuff out. And I'm like, man, I did this stuff 5 years ago. I got my 35 bills. I'm done with that. I don't want to deal with it. I want to duplicate, right? I found the key to success. Now I'm burning copies off and I'm giving them to people. That's what I want to do. All right. So being that I'm the type of person that just wants to grow a massive team, I want duplication in my team. I take those 10 to 15 minutes to basically teach people, how to do it. That's it. I want to teach people how to do it. So this way now it's going to duplicate to you. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. Now what I'm going to do next, I'm going to open up for you guys to see if you have any questions. Any questions out there? Good ones? Bad ones? You can ask why Gary's upside down. Okay. All right. So let me go to one more thing now that we don't have questions. You have a responsibility to your customer. Okay. So your responsibility to your customer is to make sure that we're taking care of your customer. So the very first thing I got to do is, hang on one second.